Hi guys, today I have swatches of the new Models Own Hypergel Twilight collection. The collection consists of 12 nail polishes and I have 10 to show you. Models Own very kindly sent me 5 of them and I purchased the other 5 myself. The Hypergel polishes are gel-like, where they last for quite a while and they dry with a very glossy finish, but you don't need to cure them and they remove with regular nail polish remover. First up is Lunar Grey, and this is a very pale grey. The Hypergel polishes come with this amazing wide brush, so application is very easy. This is pretty good on the first coat. It's definitely not fully opaque, but it has very minimal streaking and it dries to a very glossy finish. The second coat makes it fully opaque. Next up is Everyday Grey, and this is much darker. This has pretty much the same formula as the previous one. It's very easy to apply, very smooth. It's not streaky, but it isn't completely opaque on the first coat, so it will need a second coat. It dries to a beautiful glossy finish, and the second coat makes it fully opaque. Here is a comparison between the two greys. Lunar Grey is very light, whereas Everyday Grey is much darker. Next up is Teal, and this is obviously a teal. Normally when I think of teal, I think of something that's a lot more muted, but this is very bright and it's a nice pop of color in the collection. This has an incredible formula. It's almost fully opaque on just one coat. If you want to, you can definitely get away with just one coat. I'm adding a second one, but it's definitely not necessary. It dries again to a beautiful glossy finish. Next up is Deep Sea, and this is a very deep, dark forest green. This is also almost fully opaque on one coat. If you're in a rush, you can definitely just get away with one coat. I will be adding 2 coats for the swatch just because I had very minimal bald patches. It dries to an incredibly glossy finish. The second coat slightly deepens up the color, but it's not really necessary to add a second coat. Next up is Sweet Sherry, and this is surprisingly one of my favorites. It's not really a color I would normally go for. This is kind of like a warm, red-toned, chocolatey color, or raisin type of color. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's beautiful. The application is incredibly easy. Again, that wide brush really helps to speed up the application. It dries to a glossy finish. It's pretty much fully opaque in one coat. I added a second one, but it's not necessary. Next up is Heather, and this is the same type of shade as the previous color, but this is much lighter. In the bottle they look very similar, but on the nail there is actually a huge difference. This has, again, an amazing formula. It's very easy to apply, very creamy, not patchy, not streaky. I used 2 coats for the swatch. It was almost fully opaque on one coat, but a second coat definitely deepens up the color. Next up is Cashmere Rose, and this is a really beautiful, slightly muted, rosy pink color. I love that this is quite a neutral shade in this collection. There's lots of variety. Again, amazing formula. It's almost fully opaque in one coat, but this one definitely needs a second coat. The second coat brightens up the color and it is fully opaque in 2 coats. The next 3 shades are pretty similar, but they're different enough to justify having all of them in your collection, obviously. The first one is Loganberry, and this is the pink one. I love these types of pink. They're really rich and deep and kind of berry toned. This has an amazing formula, and I only used 1 coat for the swatch. This is the only one where I was 100% sure it is fine in 1 coat. Next up is Marsala, and this is a spicy red. This is very bright. My camera is picking it up a little bit lighter than it is in real life. This has a great formula. There is a slight visible nail line, so I will be adding 2 coats. Again, it dries with a beautiful glossy finish. And the last shade I have to show you is Robin Red, and this is a very orange toned red. This also has an amazing formula, and I only used 1 coat for the swatch. It's very bright and looks very fiery and beautiful, and I just love this shade of red. Earlier I mentioned there were 12 shades in the collection. There are actually 13. The 3 that I'm missing are 2 browns, a light brown and a darker brown, and a black polish. I love the collection. I think the colours are really beautiful, and they've got a nice range of different colors. There are quite a few that are pretty similar, but nothing is going to be identical. They've got some nice neutral colors and some nice pops of color, and I think it's a great collection for the autumn and winter time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.